We just got through the most difficult week of earnings season with flying colors. All the big techs did well, save Meta. Everything connected with the data center went bonkers. And the rest weren't bad either, which is how we got through another solid session. Dow dipped 153 points, but S&P gained 0.29%. And the NASDAQ jumped an astonishing 0.89%. Wow. Incredible. It doesn't mean we're out of the woods, though. You know that. This coming week is actually a little more eclectic, jam-packed on some days, and frankly, more prone to disappointment. Plus, we must never forget there is a war going on. Let's check the game plan. All right. Usually I start with Monday's business, right? But we have a special on Saturday about Berkshire Hathaway in conjunction with their annual meeting, where Becky Quick and Mike Santoli will be in Omaha to introduce us formally to Greg Abel. He's the successor to Warren Buffett. Of course, no trip to Berkshire is complete without some wisdom from the Oracle himself. I know I'm going to be tuning in. What are you doing? And how exactly is Berkshire doing? Well, we'll find out Saturday when the company actually reports first quarter results. Stocks underperformed of late. I think, you know what that is? It's because there's no longer that Buffett premium thanks to his retirement. That could be very short-sighted. The company built tremendous properties, super stocks in that portfolio. On Monday, please tune to me for a special Mad Money from Seattle, where we'll be speaking to the man himself, Amazon CEO Andy Jassy. I can't wait to get out there. Have you seen the stock? It is a horse. What else? We get results from the most colorful company in the market, Palantir Technologies. I believe their business remains strong, but this market has lost its taste for very expensive software and software-like companies, which is how people view Palantir, even as it really is a one-of-a-kind consulting firm. I don't think even a fiery Alex Karp can change the stock direction, although it was up nicely with some of the other software companies today. I wouldn't trade it, as I think Palantir is just an excellent book of business. A lot of satisfied customers. I would own it. The semis are on fire of late, including OnSemi, long viewed as a company that's tied just to the auto industry. Some would say too tied. But so is NXP Semiconductors. And did you see that? That stock went parabolic after reported this week. That would cut to buying some OnSemi, I would think. Now, we have an analyst meeting Monday for ServiceNow, okay? A stock that's been hammered relentlessly because of the AI displacement worries that have dragged down the entire software as a service space. These companies typically charge per user, and that perception is that AI is wiping out too many jobs for that business model to remain viable. I want to hear if customers are cutting the length of the contracts they've taken in preparation for AI agents reaching the point where they can take over from people and possibly do a better job in ServiceNow. The software as a service group caught fire today, though. Maybe that bodes well for ServiceNow. I am sure that Bill McDermott will put on a good show. He's the CEO, and he's a very good promoter of his company. Tuesday's jammed. We've got the dilemma of the data centers identified by Eaton, which provides electric hookups and air conditioners to keep things cool. We own it for the Travel Trust. It's had a big run. The ones that have had big runs, they tend to sell off. I got to be careful, all right? I want to monitor Shopify when it reports Tuesday because the Universal Fulfillment Company has a great read on small to medium-sized businesses. I always worry about them. This company is the chief e-commerce enabler for these smaller companies. Stock's been meandering of late. I think it's going to have good numbers. We'll have to find out, though. Hey, can Pfizer break out of its multi-year rut? Now, a lot depends on the presentation because I haven't seen any needle movers in the portfolio. Primarily cheap, good yield. But if I want good yield, I'll buy a bond. You want an upside surprise? Okay, I'm going to say that, and I'm going to say it's going to come from AMD this week. And I buy some AMD ahead of the quarter. Lisa Su is the best. Oh, you know what? Let me give you two more. I would buy Lumentum. I would buy Arista Networks. Yeah, I'm that bullish on this day. Two companies that help the machines in the data center talk to each other. I pressed my bet with Astera Labs, fabulous semiconductor company that also does connectivity. And when people ask me what does Astera Labs do, I always say it goes up. There will be plenty of proselytizing when we hear from Strategy. That used to be the MicroStrategy, you know. The firm, we call it Mr. MSTR. That's the name of the symbol. The firm run by Michael Saylor is primarily he just buys Bitcoin and nothing else. You know what I say? You want to own Bitcoin? Buy Bitcoin. On Wednesday, Disney reports, all right? And I think it's a microcosm of the higher-end travel market. As I see it, the consumer's holding strong, and the number could be a good one. Hey, maybe first start for a new CEO, Josh Tomorrow, represents the institution well. I might be on a roll here, and I want to press my bet by telling you that I think that CVS will give you a good quarter, too. I wish the stock hadn't run so much, but CEO David Joyner, he's done a great job fixing up CVS. while Rite Aid closed down and Walgreens is self-immolating. Don't forget, I think Aetna's going to have good numbers buried within CVS. Hey, after the close, we got a real good one. ARM Holdings. Renee Haas, you've seen him on, right? We know the world is short of he's a Las Vegas Raider fan. That's worrisome. We know we heard from Intel this week, and we'll hear from AMD when it reports next Tuesday. ARM designs the same kind of chips, the underlying architecture for most of these chips as CPUs. But what people don't realize is making CPUs itself. I think that could be a stock that romps. Went up big today and then had a reversal late in the day. Doesn't like that. Oh, here's a small one that I just care about because sometimes I have one of these and I'm up for 3 days. It's called Dutch Bros. It's been a serial upside surpriser. That said, if you want a coffee stock, people are telling me, Jim, you love the Starbucks. Why did you do it at Dutch Bros? But because they have a thing called the Annihilator. It's the best coffee I've ever had. And it even has coffee in it. We've got an important analyst meeting on Wednesday. It's Corning, the glass and fiber company. They could talk more about the multi-billion-dollar contracts that they've been winning in the, do I even have to say it anymore? Data center. Could it move the stock? I sure hope so. We own it for the Chapel Trust. Now, Thursday's McDonald's report, and here's a surprise in itself. It always surprises the upside. The competition has become less effective. I mean, McDonald's has a value package that seems so popular. The stock's been drifting lower. I think it's definitely worth buying. I'm worried about Wendy's, by the way, because my wife has stopped eating the Baconator. She had a knee replacement. Geez, there are a lot of possible upside surprises next week. I think the one that may be a big surprise is a stock that's heavily shorted. It's called CoreWeave. Michael Intrad, you see him? I like him. I put him on the show, maybe. I'm concerned that there could be a financing, though. CoreWeave is pretty aggressive about continuing to build new data centers. I don't blame them. They're the best at it. We could get a real pop from the CEO, Michael Intrader, if he didn't offer stock, if they didn't do a deal. He does convertibles. After the close, there's another consistent winner reporting, Cloudflare. This company does a lot of things with content online, but what I like best is how Cloudflare keeps websites from being pilfered by the big hyperscalers. They're a terrific cyber defender. Friday, it's employment day. Now, if we get a slightly softer number, guess what's going to happen? We're going to immediately change that whole chatter about what's going to happen when Warsh takes over, okay? Suddenly, everybody will be talking about how a rate cut could be imminent with Warsh taking over the Fed. Can you imagine if we get that and what the stock market will do? The labor report is the most important piece of data when it comes to predicting what the Fed's going to do next. I keep thinking that we could have a slowdown, but not a recession from the lack of new hires now that the agentic AI era has arrived. See, that's where we finally have machines that displace white-collar jobs as well as blue-collar ones. When I listen to all these tech companies reporting, it's clear that the shift has now begun. This earnings season is the first one where I found real evidence of the so-called fourth industrial revolution impacting things outside of tech. Just as Jensen Huang, CEO of NVIDIA, told me would happen, there are fewer people being hired, more people doing much more with less. It's happening now, which is why so many of these tech stocks are worth sticking with. Here's the bottom line. Next week's another big one, but the most important event is the labor report on Friday. I also think we've got a lot of good earnings coming, but don't expect next week to be as good as this one was.
Don't miss a second of Mad Money. Follow @Jim Cramer on X. Have a question? Tweet Cramer. #MadMentions. Send Jim an email to madmoney@cnbc.com or give us a call at 1-800-743-CNBC. Miss something? Head to madmoney.cnbc.com.